before DACA, I used to not understand who I was. And after DACA, I was a bit scared of who I was. Yeah. I was just scared of what people would say or how people would look at me, or if people's perception of me would change. Or I had been successful in school. Was that gonna not be looked at great anymore? Or was I gonna be taking opportunities from other people by being, it was just a lot of their rhetoric that other people had used already against immigrants. I feel like now that I consider myself that, and I had that document, like that made me what those people had said. So I think that's what I was scared of. So my mom came to the United States when I was 3 years old. She was technically supporting my entire family. So it was my sisters, my 2 aunts, and my grandma. So she had to support, technically she was our provider. And in El Salvador, there's really no jobs. Like she had a job, but it just wasn't enough. Like it wasn't, we were going through poverty. We didn't have anything to eat. So she had to make the difficult decision to just come here and try to find a job here that would give her enough money for us to at least survive.
The struggle that is live without my daughters. I cry every week, like 2-3 hours. I see every mother, they enjoy time with the kids, and I can't.
It was fun though. It was okay. It was like a regular. My mom is like, at some point, there's some family members that are not blood, some that are blood, that got involved with gangs, and so we started getting death threats at the house, and that's when my mom was like, somehow we're gonna get this money and you guys need to come here. My sisters, myself, my grandma, and my little cousin. So it was very sudden, but yeah, we left. I was 9. It took us 22 days to get here. I always imagined here a lot different. I remember that when I was a kid. And when we were coming here, I thought that I was coming to live in a mansion. That was my perception of here. So I think having that perception of this being a country of opportunity and like economic stability, that's what brought my family here. What color is this one? Yes. What color is this? What color is that?
Like what words started with it?
From what I've learned about getting a visa, or I guess like as people say, doing it the legal way, you need to have these different requirements. You have to have a pretty good amount of money, like under your own name. Some people require to have like own land, and we don't have that. We're from like this small little village, and they decided to take me because I was the youngest. It'll be easier for me to adapt and just kind of basically be raised here. Right before we got to the United States, we crossed the river using a floaty. And since it was 3 of us, so my mom was on the floaty. She was actually really scared because she can't swim, and she was like very frightened about it, but she got on, and then I was on her lap, and my half-brother was the one just kind of holding on and just kind of like paddling us until we got to the other side.
Llegué con dificultad, se me hizo difícil quedar sola. Cuando llegué, recuerde que yo venía con ese peso de allá que dejaba a mis hijos. Siempre tuve la esperanza de que ellos un día se vieran. Y no perdí esa esperanza ni esa fe. Lloraba pedíamos a Dios siempre que nos uniera. Y lo bueno de esto es cómo Dios nos proveó eso de poder un día traerlos de la forma que no como nosotros nos venimos. Entonces esa fue una gran diferencia que hoy pues doy gracias a Dios porque estamos aquí y por el problema que yo tenía.
I would say yes, it's hard to be an immigrant. I wouldn't say it would be harder than, maybe somebody else's life, but it is just simply it's hard to be an immigrant because there are people, again, who don't particularly agree with coming in illegally. And as myself, like I wouldn't wish that on anybody either, but I know that there's people who need to do it because there's no other choices. So there is that stigma around, what are they really doing?
I met Karina all the way back in like high school, and then we kind of just reunited here at Leslie, and then from there on it was just kind of like a love story, I guess you can say. DACA has done a lot of things for Karina. It's given her the freedom to work without fear, or just to be in this country without fear. I think the biggest problem when you're undocumented is just having fear of just doing anything, whether it's working or simply being pulled over for a traffic stop or something like that. Their family always lives in fear. And I think that DACA gives her like that safety net, or like that safety barrier that like, they can't just be deported for like something very small. With all of the boundaries and roadblocks that they face, it's hard to say, yeah, I'm here to live the American dream, because it's like America's against them. You know what I mean? America doesn't want them here. And people who are following their American dream are like, you guys shouldn't even be here in the first place.
I am from a city called Fortaleza, Ceará, which is in the northeast of Brazil, and it's a very violent city. And that was one big thing that my parents always were very afraid of. It was the violence, and the fact that my mom worked at a bank was another. She was robbed 5 times. 3 times by knife and 2 times with guns. And that was just shocking to her. Plus, everything was very expensive. Public education in Brazil, it's a failure. It doesn't exist. It's not like the US. So you have to go with private schools. Private schools are ridiculously expensive. Healthcare is expensive. Food is expensive. Everything's expensive. My dad said, we need to take a chance. And what his idea was, I go first, and then you guys come. So he said, I go first. He came to Boston. He did his research. He knew that Boston had, great, amazing public schools. And right after that, he decided that I should come next. So my junior year, most of my friends were planning to go and get our license. When we got to the window, the guy goes, well, you need to put your social. And I'm like, well, I don't know what it is. I don't have it. And then my friend goes, oh, no problem. Go home and ask your mom. She'll have it, because my mom gave me my number. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I go home and I tell my mom, and then she flipped out. Yes, she got all pale, and she said, what? You went what? Oh my God. And she made a big deal. And I noticed that physically something was going on. I said, what happened? All my friends went, and I went, it was all safe. And I had already took the bus before by myself. I didn't think it was that. And that's when she finally came to me and said, we need to talk. I need to explain something to you. And then she said, we don't have papers. You cannot just go somewhere and apply for something where it says that you need a social security number, because you don't have that. And then she explained to me that not having papers meant that we were undocumented. A lot changed that day, that year for me, because I kind of went into a shell. I was afraid. As soon as I came to the Waltham High School, I had a wonderful guidance counselor. However, she died of cancer 1 year after that. So I went and I got another guidance counselor that was not very helpful to people like me. When everybody was talking about college and applying for college, I went to her and I told her that, yes, I want to go to college. I have, hopes and dreams. And she said to me right in my face, she said, honey, I'm sorry. First of all, your parents won't be able to afford it. Secondly, I don't know if you're ever going to get a diploma. I know your situation. So that just brought me down so much. I said, I can't, okay, so I won't go to college. And I didn't right away because of that. So instead, I went to work, right? I did everything you can think of.
It makes no sense to expel talented young people who, for all intents and purposes, are Americans. They've been raised as Americans, understand themselves to be part of this country. To expel these young people who want to staff our labs or start new businesses or defend our country simply because of the actions of their parents or because of the inaction of politicians. Effective immediately, the Department of Homeland Security is taking steps to lift the shadow of deportation from these young people. Over the next few months, eligible individuals who do not present a risk to national security or public safety will be able to request temporary relief from deportation.
So I found out about DACA on the news, like everybody else. I followed, honestly, I've been following the news regarding immigration since Bush tried to pass the first bill, to actually make sure that immigration reform, make sure that people could come out of the shadows. And that was the first light of hope for me. So yes, beginning with Bush, I was just following the news nonstop. And then finally Obama got, elected, and he promised and he said that he would do it. And I was waiting for it until he finally did, have the executive order of DACA. And I applied right away.
As soon as I turned 16, I think that was one of the requirements. You had to be at least 16 years old to apply. And so that's what I did for my birthday. As soon as I turned 16, I went to go apply for DACA.
I don't know why I didn't apply before, but I think I waited till 2016. That was the first time I got it.
The first thing I did was trying to go to college. And again, there were barriers at that time because it was 2012. So when I started, finding out where I could apply and how, they all said the same thing. Are you a resident? And I'm like, yes, of course I am. I live here for a very long time. And they said, no, do you have a green card? You have to have a green card. Otherwise, you will have to pay out-of-state tuition. I'm like, at the time, I owed a house in Natick and I paid taxes. So I was just like infuriated. I'm like, are you kidding me? I pay taxes. And I had to wait until 2017 when finally I found out that Mass Bay would let DACAs pay in-state tuition. So I went to Mass Bay, Massachusetts Bay Community College. I did so well. I was so happy. I did not plan to do more than 2 years and get my associate. That's all. That was my plan. But it just opened up my mind, and I knew that I could do more. I could be more. I wanted more. And I was so happy in school. And I found out that I got a grant for Tufts. And I applied for all the colleges. I got in them all. And Tufts offered me a very generous grant. And I couldn't say no. And here I am now at Tufts.
Recently, I've definitely seen a lot more people be supportive of Dreamers. Again, it's because of the narrative that's been put out that it's, students, they're hardworking, they go to school, they go to college. And I think all of that is definitely great. But again, it's not the same for every person. So I feel like DACA, obviously there's a lot of amazing people in there, but it kind of divides us, even within the undocumented community as well.
I'm here today to announce that the program known as DACA that was effectuated under the Obama administration is being rescinded.
Like my fear came true in 2017 when they were like, we're taking it away. I was like, why? I was like, I hadn't had it for too long. I was like, I'm just starting college. I was like, is this just all gonna go to nothing now? Like I got here, I struggled to even get to my first day of college and now they're gonna take it away. So that's one of my fears. And then if you see the trajectory of DACA since 2017, it's been taken away, brought back, taken away, brought back. So my fear is that they're just gonna take it away and not give us nothing, not be a solution, and I have to go back to, in a way, this sounds bad, but being nothing. Like that's what it's gonna be if it gets taken away. That's related to like the program, but then I feel like even having DACA, like I get scared to drive by the airport because I know there's a lot of ICE agents there or Border Patrol. I get scared to go there. It's just a lot of fears that I feel like maybe they won't happen, but I get scared. I've been stopped by the police for not having my headlights on, and I was so scared. I almost peed myself because I was so scared that I was like, what if this escalates to something else? And then I end up going to jail and I get deported. And it's like, it's not that I don't want to go back to where I'm from, but I don't think I want to go back in that way or be forced to go back that way. And then all that I've accomplished, which I still have a lot more to accomplish, like it gets taken away. And again, like what I said at the beginning, like go back to being nothing.
I have 3 kids. So the way I feel about my kids knowing that I am undocumented is that I feel so insecure as it is myself, and I do not want to pass that to them. I think it's not fair. I want them to have a normal life. I don't think it's fair for them to worry about me and me worrying about them worrying about me with so much going on. You know, I have 2 teenagers and a 5th grader, and they have their own lives too. It's hard nowadays, especially with COVID and everything. Our lives is upside down in so many ways. So, and they watch TV, they see the news. So I cannot imagine them knowing that their mom, you know, the center of their lives, not having documents, not being able to stay here, and them seeing on TV horrible things out there that has happened to people like me.
It says election 2020 life updates. Joe Biden is elected the 46th president, Harris first woman VP. At least now I have more peace of mind that he will actually either reinstate the program fully or try to work on something better with the House and the Senate. So I know that I can finish school, that I'll finish my master's, and then that at least for the next 4 years, it's for sure that I'll be okay.
You showing your teeth? Yes.
I do want to become a U.S. citizen. I feel like I would want to go back to Honduras and visit, and I know that, you know, once I become a U.S. citizen, that would be easy for me to do. But it's just, you know, this is where I've been raised, and I live here my whole life. I don't really see me going back to Honduras and, you know, staying there.
The stability of being a citizen is what I most want. Like not being scared that DACA is gonna go away, not being scared that if I get stopped, because DACA doesn't necessarily protect me from deportation. So it's like not being scared of me seeing an immigration car around me. Like it's just that peace of mind. It's not even the traveling, it's not anything else, but for me to be at peace and think that I can go anywhere and be everywhere without having fear of anything.
I have never voted in my life, believe it or not. I left Brazil, I was too young to vote, and I didn't have the knowledge, right? And I've never had a chance to vote here because I'm not a citizen.
At the end of the day, again, we're all human, and I think we all deserve a chance at life. And then as Americans, we should, because I consider myself an American, we should be able to embrace people that are different from us, to embrace people that just want to continue forward.
It's hard. It's hard to make big plans for the future if you don't have control of anything. But I can only do is fight. I have to find a way to fight it because what else can I do?
There are people who are undocumented who can't tell the stories because they're very vulnerable. And so if I know that I am protected at least for the next 2 years, I will share my story and I will share their story.
A lot of people say when they relate to DACA that we've come out of the shadows. So I feel like now I've built myself on my identity as a DACA recipient, but I don't look at it as a thing of shame anymore. I think I look at it as like a triumph. Like I've come out of a lot of things and DACA has opened doors for me and I'm better off now